two rock stars coming up here, Ian and Nick, and what we're going to go through today. Ian is going to kick things off, and we're going to go through your CRO readiness. So before you just start diving into testing, we just talked about a little bit of customer research that you should be doing, but Ian's going to help go through some of the technical questions that you should be thinking about. So depending if you're a Shopify storefront, headless site, you guys can come up. Ian's going to get you right. So welcome, Ian and Nick. All right. We're on the opposite. Yeah. So you go there. I'll go over here. All right. How does it feel to be on the other side now, Nick? Since last week you were interviewing me, gave me all the. Yeah. You didn't give me any softballs. What did you describe? You described Elevar as what what was it?
Like your Skims, but for your e-commerce store.
Well, that's our new tagline. All right, so Ian, you're gonna go first, but before kick things off, quick intros for both of you.
I'm Ian Rich, founder of Sparky. You may know us from the signs at the Elevar Summit, and probably nothing else. We're a pretty underground, small but mighty Shopify Plus partner. We design, build, and do a lot of managed CRO and experimentation. We sneaky punch above our weight class. I think the sites that we have built and actively managed process about $750 million in GMV on Shopify. Nobody really knows who we are, but they know our brands.
Ian gave me a bunch of shit when we were talking about his presentation a couple of weeks ago. He's like, yeah, Erica, you might have been there too, maybe. I was like, yeah, I was at Alex and Ani when you guys like slept in our office for 2 weeks getting ready for a new site launch.
It was about the 2 weeks that I worked there because they hired me and then I was like, this is not it. But, by the way, Brett, I just really wanted to thank you for hosting us here at my childhood home. I'm glad we were able to make that work.
Thank you. You grew up here?
This building, yeah, of course.
Nice. I thought I saw you on the wall. All right, Nick.
Yeah, what's up, guys? My name is Nick Sharma. I'm the CEO of Hooks, as well as Sharma Brands. We make a lot of brands, a lot of money, and that's pretty much what we do.
All right, so I don't know what page this is on. It's in the booklet, maybe 8, 10. So again, we're going to do the little CRO readiness, and then Nick is going to go through his 6-part framework in landing page optimization stuff.
All right.
And Nick, get him some good questions. Dig in there.
I got you. So I was calling the CRO for all, although Dylan, I think I'm part of the problem. As he pointed out earlier, a lot of people, I think, overgeneralize and just call everything CRO. Really, I'm talking about split testing. So if you guys can all find and replace with your eyes where you see CRO, I'm mostly talking about split testing here. But CRO for all, LLJK, I think it's wildly inaccessible for a lot of Shopify brands, unfortunately. I think there's this big problem, which is that there's this growing divide between the service options that are available to fast-growing direct-to-consumer brands as it relates to CRO and A/B testing, and like the needs that a lot of brands have. So my background, this is a self-portrait, by the way, same hairline still. I've been in the CRO and A/B testing space for about 15 years. I know what you're thinking, but Ian, you're merely a child of no older than 15 or 16 now. How is that possible?
I didn't know we had a comedian up here. This is good. Keep it going.
Brad, you didn't do your research. But despite he's not going to like the remaining jokes. My slight figure and boyish charm, I am in fact a grown adult. But I did start young. I actually dropped out of high school when I was 16, and through kind of being in the right place at the right time in a bunch of different scenarios, started interning for Reebok on their e-commerce team before they had an e-commerce team. And after that internship, they kind of hired me, and I was basically running UX while my friends were starting to go to college. I thought I was really hot stuff, still kind of do, but the hairline is really humbling me in my age. So we scaled that business really fast over a few years. Reebok was owned by Adidas at the time. We took over operations of the Adidas site, learned a whole bunch. I later left because I was kind of bored with CRO, so I started a CRO agency. But during that time, I had a lot of things that were available to me at Reebok that I've learned since kind of getting embedded in the Shopify world are not really the case. So I think when I left, we were maybe a $50 million business at that point. And we worked with an agency called Clearhead that later got acquired by Accenture. They were great. They were a really good A/B testing firm and analytics firm. we were probably spending like $250,000 with them every 6 months, which is insane when you say it out loud, right? But being part of this giant organization, kind of what made, my last role there, I led front-end design development and optimization. And sort of what that meant, we had a few internal resources, but a whole bunch of agencies and a whole bunch of agency budgets. And I was very comfortable spending that money because I knew, based on the data that we were gathering from running these tests, that we were not losing money, and we were constantly updating our site and keeping it fresh and adapting to user behavior. But more often than not, we were also squeezing some extra money out of our site. But in our $50 million e-commerce P&L at the time, like, part of our P&L was not really brand marketing, it was Reebok, right? We didn't have product development, we didn't have all these other things, which the brands that we work with today, we might have a $50 million pure play e-com client, and those are all considerations all within their P&L. It seems to be, they're obviously not going to hire the Accentures of the world to help them facilitate A/B testing, and they are sinking their money into the things that they need to do just to keep the lights on, just to keep the site running. They need a merchandiser or some kind of merchandiser or a product person or whatever. It's very, very unlikely that they're going to have in-house analytics resources and strategists and designers and developers and all of the above. So what are their options? They could go, I think, unfortunately, brands are kind of forced to overinvest in design development, some of that stuff that is just like necessary to keep the lights on, and that comes at the expense of optimization, because they need to be doing that, right? But so this is a very common journey for brands that we see today. I don't know if you guys kind of tiny, but basically, so we'll work with a lot of brands, or we'll see a lot of brands out there that maybe this might be familiar to some of you guys, but maybe you start your brand, you buy a Shopify theme from the theme store for $200, $300 or whatever. Maybe you hire a freelancer from Upwork and customize it. You scale your business to around $1 million. It's not a rule, but it seems to be a little bit like kind of where the wheels start to fall off of a store-bought theme. You then have a couple options, but it usually goes one of two ways. You contract an agency to build this bespoke, custom Shopify theme. Usually you're looking at least around $120,000. That agency probably spends 7 months working on the project. Inevitably, there's this big upfront discovery phase and design and development, and they launch this really cool, really unique, really beautiful site, but conversion dips. Or they go a different direction and they contract an agency to build a custom Shopify theme, and they're probably spending at least 120 grand. And that agency takes about 7 months, and inevitably there's this big upfront discovery phase and then design and development. And then they launch the site, and maybe conversion holds steady, but it looks like every other site on the internet. And either way, they're still usually on the hook to pay most likely that agency, X thousands of dollars a month, 3 to 5,000, whatever it is. It might even be low, just to like be around to be like, hey, we have an About Us page. Can you guys build this for us? That's a crappy model, and it's really, I think, prohibitive for brands. Again, if you're I think, some $50 million, it's like a particularly bad use of resources, because even if you did have the budget or the wherewithal or like the desire to insource a lot of the stuff, the optimization resources, let's say you do have an analyst, let's say you do have a strategist or whatever, you still have to now invest in some of the platforms that we were just talking about in the last talk. It's expensive. And this divide's getting bigger every day because that clearhead that I mentioned earlier, the Accentures, there's no incentive for them to play down market. They don't really want to get into it because like they're making their money from the Adidases of the world. And there are some Shopify CRO firms out there, or A/B testing firms, and those are mostly just guys like me who are trying to figure out how to scale a services company. So they're not particularly interested in taking on some of those like day-to-day needs and things of that nature. So you end up sort of just stacking. Like there are definitely some good ones out there that are very good at what they do, but it's typically like you have to budget for it, right? And you're stacking another vendor fee on top of that. If you're accounting for it and you're able to, great. But and then yeah, the software is expensive. Unless you have a really great in-house ninja, it becomes very cost prohibitive for folks. I think an effective optimization program should allow you to squeeze the most money out of your visitors without adding code. This is the other issue with Shopify. Shopify is an amazing platform, but it's kind of the Wild West as it relates to code. We have brands that we work with that are doing $250 million, and then brands that are doing $2 million, and we do the same work for them pretty much. If it's a theme, it's kind of all the same stuff that's necessary. It's awesome to start a brand, but there's complexities when it comes to scaling from a technical foundation, and that's another area where it starts to hinder CRO. So let's say you are all on board and you really want to get into it and you want to start to run a whole bunch of A/B tests, but you're on that theme that you bought a couple of years ago, you might end up sinking a whole bunch of money into this and only to go and have to blow up your theme again. So yeah, brands may hit a point. I said may. They will hit a point of diminishing returns by implementing an optimization program on a weak technical foundation. That's another mistake that some folks might make. I'm like that too. I'm a huge proponent of A/B testing. I'm always very eager to do that, but just kind of stacking additional tests and additional whatever new features and everything, you start to rack. If you're not on a foundation that's built for scale, you're going to start to rack up all this additional tech debt, and then a bunch of brands will go and invest a ton of money in a brand new site, expecting that to fix all their conversion woes, and that's not really how that works either, and they'll use up all their budget on that. So I think there's two key questions to figure out kind of where you're at from a A/B testing readiness standpoint. It's is your code base equipped to handle small incremental changes, or is it this big tangled ball of yarn? And the answer in the Shopify world is you could be in one of these or anywhere else in the spectrum, but there's a whole lot of room in between. But there's not a whole lot of standardization as it relates to like quality of code that's out there. So does it make sense for you to invest in like a months-long project and just scrap the entire site before trying to layer in these incremental gains? I think there's like we're these kind of 4 levels of A/B testing readiness. So that bottom axis here, it's a little bit tiny, it's kind of like organizational readiness. So that's the other thing. You might have a really great e-com operator on your team that is all hyped about A/B testing, but can't really get buy-in from the other folks. Just because they don't really know what it is. I've heard a lot of people say A/B testing is fake news. And then on the other side, it's like kind of technical readiness and technical foundation. So I think if you're in that top left, I'm calling that the data diplomat. You have a good foundation, a good code base. You're ready to go from an e-com standpoint, but you might need a little bit of buy-in and some politicking to kind of get a full-blown optimization program up and running. The top right is full site stud. Just go ham. Just do it. In that bottom right corner, this is kind of the people that are like ready to test, but this is the most slippery slope of all, I think. If you're like really eager and really hot to get on board, get a testing program up and running, but your foundation is not great, it's a little bit slippery, I think you can really quickly fall into this trap where you're sinking a ton of money into stuff they're gonna just have to change or redo or totally scrap because you might end up slowing your site down or whatever. And then in the lower left, you just seek help. But so basically the spectrum is on that bottom axis. On the left is like, organizations that are, I think, like kind of brand team led, maybe a little bit more intuitive, not necessarily data driven. Side note, when I worked at Alex & Ani, they had a corporate intuitive on the board of directors. They also went bankrupt. And over on the right is like people, a more savvy, data driven organization. So, and all of these, I have landing page warriors because there's no reason really with if you're on Shopify with the apps that are out there, you should always be testing and doing a whole bunch of landing page stuff. Running a lot of landing page tests for the traffic that you're driving because that's kind of independent of like quality of theme code. If you're not sure where you fit in terms of those levels, we have a little checklist that will help you get there. You can go to sparky.us/Elevar. We were going to print it out, but Brad said this is the way we're going to get your emails. So I'm totally kidding. We were going to get your emails either way. So you can check that out. You can also visit us downstairs. Also on this page, just below that, we're going to give out for anybody that's here three CRO quick wins that you can maybe implement in time for holiday or whatever. Just send us where your site is, and we'll give you a few ideas. Anybody here. It's like 2 separate forms on that page. It's a pretty kludgy experience because the only thing I like more than conversion rate optimization is irony. I thought that joke would land. No, not at all. No, I was workshopping in the hallway. It got better reactions out there, but what I'm saying is the form kind of stinks. But hey, well, that's it. Peace and love. Thanks, guys.
So as we transition over to Nick, I hope you all caught the end of that, where no matter where you are in that quadrant, in that 2x2 quadrant, landing page testing is always something that you should be doing. Nick is going to beat that home, but I think that's something where all of the different pieces of the pie that we're talking through, I think landing page testing, map, event tracking, dumping that data in your data warehouse, using creative zero-party data from your post-purchase surveys, using that to tie back to landing pages. Landing pages allows you to do that so much faster. So Nick, drop some knowledge on us.
Awesome. First off, big shout out to everybody in a purple t-shirt for helping out and put this together. If you see anybody in a purple t-shirt, give them a high five or a fist bump. As well as the guys from Encore who are helping everything with the lights and the sound and everything.
And Rochelle. Where's
and
Rochelle?
Michelle.
Rochelle. Although we're going to go over time, Rochelle, FYI. A few minutes.
Sorry.
They don't want lunch.
Yeah. Actually, who's hungry? Raise your hand. All right, cool. This is perfect because today, my slides got cut.
No. Can you go to the break and I'm going to flip over to the...
This was supposed to be a very smooth. Who's hungry?
Yeah.
Didn't work. Also, shout out to last night, Ron and Ash and Josh for putting on a nice event for us.
Shout out rickshaws.
Yeah, shout out rickshaws. Is Ron Shaw on a rickshaw? Who saw that?
All right, try that. That's your deck.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm hungry. Yeah. Is this going to work? Oh, there we go. Is there a way to zoom out a little bit?
Yeah.
This is why we need an Indian on staff. Okay.
That good?
Yeah, perfect.
All right.
All right, so today we're going to talk about building landing pages. But first, just, I think before I thought we had time, we don't really have time. So you can stretch after this. A good landing page is basically comprised of a bunch of different ingredients, a good angle, some good copy, some good social proof. And so today we're going to go over the ingredient list for a good landing page. And I'm going to break down the ingredients and what they all mean. So, first off, why should you use landing pages? Well, typically somebody clicks an ad, they get to your homepage, they scroll through your homepage. It talks about your brand in one particular way, right? Usually it's something that one person came up with, maybe in a conference room, maybe a branding agency came up with it in Brooklyn. They have no real connection to your customers. And then they go to your collections page, and then they go to your product page, and then they probably leave because they don't have enough information, and then they come back, and then maybe they purchase. With a landing page, the idea is you roll out this red carpet as if your customer is Kim Kardashian, entering a movie premiere, and you are her assistant. So every question that Kim has as she's walking this red carpet is getting answered as she's walking, the red carpet. And I'll get to what those questions are so you can make sure you have them all answered. So let's start with the ingredients. The first ingredient is a good angle. Now, a good angle is something Dylan talked about as well. It's basically how are you talking about your product? How are you introducing people to the product itself? For example, Elevar can be a tag manager for Shopify sites, which sounds boring, but it could also be Skims or shapewear for your website, which now is a better angle. You're going to get a lot more people who are more interested in wanting to figure out what it is. Cadence is a great example. Has anybody heard of Cadence, these travel capsules? A couple people. So Cadence sells these plastic travel capsules made with recycled plastic. And if they were to just go on Facebook and advertise, travel capsules, their TAM would be a lot lower. But if they shift that messaging to, take your personal care routine when you travel, or leak-proof personal care that's TSA approved, or, go sleep at your boyfriend's house and don't miss your cleanser. These are things that are angles that get more people interested, and therefore, basically you create a TAM out of that. You want to basically understand who you're going after with your angle, what they care about, why they would need your product or what they would benefit from it. And also you want to understand how they consume information. If you're going after somebody who's 65, they're going to consume something much differently than Ian might at 16.
Ooh, well played. Well played.
Like that?
That's good.
The next thing you need is some stellar copywriting. So, when I worked at a company called Hintwater, we had ads that were running when I got there. It said 0 calories, zero sugar, 0 sweetener, flavored water, try it now. And I thought, this is a terrible representation of why I like the product. I like the product because it tastes like dessert, or it tastes like a nice drink, but really it's just water. And so you need to personify what you're actually selling, because otherwise no one really cares, right? And you want to basically go from value prop through a conveyor belt. Value prop, and I'm trying to skip through this a little quickly, but you go value prop, filter it through your customer. Why should they give F as to why they would consume your product or what they'll get out of it, and then flip it to benefits. When you're speaking to customers, unless you're talking about the ingredients or how something works or what comes inside your box, everything should be very benefits driven, not value props driven. It's hard to read this, so
I'll zoom in a little
that's
bit.
okay. That's okay.
Whoa! Don't kill me, AV guy.
I'm gonna have this deck for everybody to download after. Oh, that's better actually. Yeah, still can't read it, but it's okay. Basically, yeah, it's what I said. Benefits, not value props. The next thing you want to make sure you absolutely have is social proof. There's three main types of social proof you can have. Obviously, there's more, but these are the three that I always look toward. The first is customer reviews. This is what are your customers saying, and what can you extract from what customers are saying. The best place to do this is, you set up your reviews page, go through and make a list of all the benefits people talk about. So if you talk about Caraway cookware, they might mention easy to clean, non-toxic cookware, looks beautiful, nice colors. And every time you see it, just put a little tally next to it. The more tallies you have, or you take the top 5 most tallied benefits, there's your listicle, there's your angle for a landing page, that's your ad copy. It just helps you understand what are people actually getting value from in your product. The second one is established sources. And then the third one is user-generated content. So customer reviews I went over, but the main key here is you want to make sure when you showcase reviews, you're actually pulling reviews that speak to the benefits of the product. So you don't want to just have, it's easy, it arrived in a nice box and it was easy to set up. That gives no context to the actual function of the product, right? Next one is the established sources. So the established sources, depending on what side of the political spectrum you're on, can be different publications. They could also be content creators. They could be influencers. It's essentially anybody who has a voice or a platform. And depending on the audience you're going after, you might change that. So for example, with Feastables, when we launched that site, we focused on social proof that was more other YouTubers because the 12-year-olds that were buying resonated with that, not the New York Times. If you're going to sell to a 60-year-old, you might focus on Town and Country or Reader's Digest. And if you're focusing on a 30-year-old, you might focus on Refinery 29 or Vogue, right? You want to find social proof that aligns with the customer you're going after. And then the third one is user-generated content. So this is content that is created by your customers out of their own goodwill because they truly love the product. Now, who's heard of 73 questions with Vogue? All right, on landing pages, you can take 68 away. You just need 5. And it's basically, what is the product? Why does it exist? How does it benefit my life? Why is this the best option in the market for the product out of all its competitors? And how soon do I order it? Or how soon will I get it if I order it today? These are the 5 questions that every landing page should answer over and over and over again. Until your landing page is complete, everything on your landing page needs to be answering these 5 questions. The next part is the shop section. So the shop section is where, this is like, you've done all your work, you're about to shake hands with this person, you're about to make the deal. You've got to just make sure you reinforce them a little bit. So I like to have photography that, basically showcases what is somebody getting. They've already seen the product in action above. They've seen user social proof. Now it's like, what am I getting when I place add to cart or place this order? So you show that, and then you even take the headline. So in this case, we call it the starter kit versus just the flosser. And then you have a little bit of description, some bullet points as to what comes inside or what to expect, and then your buy button. You want to essentially answer the who, what, when, where, why, and then also have some sort of reassurance. So Magic Spoon, for example, says 100% happiness guaranteed. that is some sort of a reassurance that, okay, if I'm going to place this order and I'm going to spend this money, I can always go back and get a refund, or I can be made right. The other thing I didn't mention here is in this section, especially if you're selling to males, you want to make sure that you have an answer for when somebody's wife says, "Why the fuck did you buy this?" You want to make sure you have that copy clearly written so that as they buy it, they feel confident in the purchase that they're making. The how it works and what's inside questions. So this is essentially just very basically explaining what is it that's coming in the box, or how does something work. So whether it's a beverage, whether it's a hearing aid, whether it's a protein powder, you want to very quickly show people, this is our protein powder. Look, this is a GIF of how easily it mixes. Or this is our beverage, this is our hearing aid, this is what happens. You unbox it, you set it up with your phone, and it's good to go. The next piece is the brand story. Not everybody has a great brand story, and that's okay. But having a good brand story just allows you to make a personal connection, right? It's like going to Chipotle and asking the guy before you get guacamole how their day is going. It just gives a little bit of personal connection. And it allows you to build that relationship. Not much to it, though. The next one is pixels and scripts. So these are a few scripts and pixels that I like to make sure are on the page. One is your smooth scroll, meaning when somebody clicks a button and it drops them down, show them that animation of nicely scrolling down versus just getting immediately taken there, so they can see that there's more on the page. Next one is floating CTA, so right at the top as somebody's scrolling, or on mobile, at the bottom near the thumb. Next one is Microsoft Clarity, but I should have swapped that out for heat map, because heat map is, Dylan's not even here, but heat map is now what we use, because you can literally see for every button that's clicked on a page, what is the revenue generated for that button. The next one is your UTM pass-through. So if you're running ads to a landing page, you want to make sure that your UTM parameters stay consistent as they go to the shop or to checkout. Your ad pixels, your Facebook, Twitter, whatever it may be. And then your attribution software. So whatever attribution software you use or media mix modeling tools you use, you want to make sure that those are on the page and those are feeding data to your software. So now if we look at some examples here, these are some of the pages that we've built. You'll notice that all of these pages are, they're vastly different from the website. Why is that? The websites, again, are built by hipsters in Brooklyn. Not these guys.
None taken.
Not these guys. But they're built by hipsters in Brooklyn who sit in a conference room drinking cold brew, right? They speak one way to a customer. And you can't expect every customer to resonate with the way that you're speaking about your product on your homepage or even your product page. And so with the landing pages, we have the angle at the top. We have some supporting value props that, again, ladder back to your angle. Your angle should be your North Star. Every piece of copy on the page needs to ladder back up to that angle. And then you very clearly show the product in action, a call to action. You put some social proof in there, and you've got yourself a nice hero section. If you guys want this presentation, you can download it here, hooks.co/Elevar. And lastly, this entire presentation was taken from one email I sent out. I send out free emails every Sunday, and you can subscribe. And you can email me, follow me on Twitter, find me at lunch, come harass me. And that is my time.
Awesome. All right, this clock only says we're 47 seconds over. So we're going to do 2 questions. Who's got any questions for Ian or Nick? Hold on, AJ or Paul.
Do you have any recommendation creating landing pages for mobile experience?
For mobile?
Yeah.
That's the end of the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything you design should be designed in mobile first. Like we saw with Dylan's presentation, 68% of your traffic is coming in through mobile. And so, everything should be designed in mobile. And then if you have the resources, design it in desktop. If you don't have the resources, design it in mobile and let it fit to desktop. Everything should be very clear. Again, answering those 5 questions as soon as you can. And, the other thing I think about too is the first probably 2 or 3 swipes with your thumb, I consider that oceanfront real estate. That's cream of the crop real estate. And so you want to be able to condense that, pack as much in, make it fun, make it exciting for somebody. And again, find that angle, right? If you don't have the angle, the rest of the page doesn't work. Like Dylan said, find those images or that copy that resonates back with the customer and the problem they're facing. And again, and the last piece is probably make it very fast. Don't let it load slow. You have to pretend that, you know, you're loading this on a third world country's cell network.
Victor, were you asking about software as well? So what do you guys use for your landing page?
So we use either Unbounce. Unbounce is easy because like I'm the one Indian who can't code, and it's very easy to drag and drop everything. Second easiest is Replo. That's within the Shopify app. You just download the app and install it. And then we have a lot of clients who just build natively on Shopify, so we just develop it there.
Builds landing pages too as companies. So if anyone's
that's what I do.
Looking for landers for Q4, talk to these guys. Talk to Nick. One more question. Paul or AJ, yeah, you pick. If there's only two, we can do both.
What would be the top 3 things you would test when launching a new landing page, A/B test-wise for the customer?
Good question. So top 3 things to test on a lander, probably the angle. So, you know, why are people coming to the site? What are the problems that you're going to solve for them? I would probably test that. Going back to the shoes example, you know, five reasons why you know, Strava runners can't get enough of these shoes, right? And it's those 5 things are then derived from the top 5 benefits that you pick up from your reviews that your customers leave. The third one would probably be the merchandising. So what is the offer and the discount and the positioning of that? Is it, you know, are you just getting a pair of shoes? Are you getting a pair of shoes with an extra set of laces, extra set of insoles? What's the discount that's there? You know, are you getting free shipping? Like basically the merchandising is essentially the shop section. And that would probably be the other thing I would test. Yeah.
We had one more. AJ, Paul, you guys will have to pick.
How many landing pages should you be running at a time? Or landing pages, excuse me.
Not that many. So, you know, I think it really depends on your spend and how big of your e-commerce store it is. If you're just getting started with landers, I would say run 1 and just, you know, use heatmap.com, watch the heat maps, watch the user session recordings, understand, you know, spend hours just watching these recordings and look at what is it that's grabbing people's attention, where are people stopping their scroll, what are they hovering over the most, and then make those optimizations. Most of what makes a landing page successful or not successful comes down to the angle and the offer. And so, and the copywriting, I would say. But if you don't have, you know, those 3 figured out, the next landing page is not gonna, you know, magically solve that. The only other thing I would test, you know, if you have a higher considered purchase, you might try different types. You might try a landing page that's entirely full of social proof or a listicle or an advertorial. But generally, those are the few things I would focus on.
Awesome. Well, if it's not obvious, we got 2 brilliant minds up here. Are you guys open for people to hawk you over lunch and nerd out on CRO and everything else? By the way, I've been reading your email every Sunday for at least 2 years.
Same.
So yes, subscribe. All right, I'm sure everyone's ready for lunch and a break. We'll be back up in about an hour and 15 minutes, and we got 2 hours of sessions this afternoon. And then we'll have a happy hour here, and then the boat cruise. Who's gotten value out of this morning? Awesome. All right, this afternoon is going to be amazing, so make sure we'll see you back up here in an hour.